This is how you as an e-commerce store can scale on an 8x ROAS whilst maintaining first order profitability. In this video, I'll essentially guide you through how I conduct creative funnels for clients of mine on paid social and more specifically using Meta as a primary access channel to advertise on. And I'm going to do that with the example slash case study of mine called Kuffer Kørhandsker. That's a Danish e-commerce brand, a client of mine that I have been scaling super rapidly. And I already have a YouTube video about that specific case that you can watch, breaking down every single element. Now, furthermore, you'll also learn how I could achieve success for this client of mine using advertising on Meta, even though the founder himself had had partnerships with some of the most commercial agencies in Denmark that every single time have resulted in failure. Now, you'll also get my insights into how I essentially craft creative funnels on paid social and see how that allowed us to essentially scale our revenue and scale our profits quite significantly in a short amount of time. And more importantly, you yourself will essentially see how you can go from having a front end with few profits to having a front end with tons of profits that you essentially can that principles that you essentially can take yourself and leverage in your own e-commerce store. But before we dig deep, we essentially first need to break down and understand an advertising principle, because previously the founder was burning thousands of Danish kroner a month on advertising with poor return on ad spend. So I had to stop the entire fire and completely turn the case upside down in order to save the brand from losing ad spend every single month. And that's exactly what I did using the teachings from Breakthrough Advertising written by the German Eugene Schwartz. And the core principle that you can find from Breakthrough Advertising is that you, as an advertiser, shall profit from the first order. Don't use lifetime value as an excuse. Achieve front-end profitability, which essentially also is going to give you an easier time to reach escape velocity. Principle number two, the 5 level of market awareness, meaning that you have to essentially understand foundationally how aware your audience is and craft your advertising efforts to their level of awareness. And thirdly, the principle by Sam Owens, which is the art of sales is to craft separation between where your target audience currently are to where your audience essentially want to be. And the core thesis behind that is you essentially also have to use their pain points in order to move them over the emotional threshold, as you can see here. Because if you don't use their pain points to essentially make sure they go over the emotional thresholds, they are, or your audience is not going to take that specific action that you want them to do. Now, you will essentially see how I took this client of mine, reframed his offer, build a entire creative system from A to Z that motivated our audience using their specific pain points throughout the entire customer journey from unaware to aware. So let's get started. First and foremost, we have the offer, and I don't want to talk about the offer too much because in all honesty, this is a fairly unique case. The offer himself have written a road book because he is a car enthusiast that loves everything about cars. So he has actually made his own product talking about, cars essentially. So it's not an offer that you kind of can compete with because it's a unique product that our target audience haven't seen before. So I also want to say and be completely honest and transparent and say that we are selling an offer to an audience that have proof of concept, because obviously the founder have a YouTube channel where he have validated his offer, and secondly, we don't have any competitors. So in this case, the offer has made it a lot easier for us to acquire front-end profitability. Secondly, we have the 5 levels of market awareness, and I essentially briefly want to take you with me and show you how I have essentially crafted a creative funnel for this client of mine using creative concepts for every single stage of the market awareness graph. First and foremost, as you can see, we have most aware, and when you are targeting a most aware audience, you are dealing with people who are in the audience, in the market, ready to buy. They just want a logical reason to essentially convert. And obviously, this case of mine is in Danish, so it's really hard for you to understand as in an English-speaking country. But essentially, what I'm doing here is using static ads with a logical reason for our target audience to buy, and using the value proposition that I have validated and know resonate with our target audience. But essentially, the core concept here is using static ads to essentially make sure we hit the messaging with our audience right on the nail, because obviously when they are in a most aware audience, they don't want anything else than a logical reason to buy, and that's exactly what we are doing here with a static ad and then a value proposition that gets them over the line. Secondly, we have product aware, and when you're dealing with a product aware audience, they know who you are, they know about your brand, but they don't typically know how well your product can essentially fulfill their mass desire. So what I'm doing here is using social proof. Obviously, product aware is quite similar to most aware, so yet again we have a logical reason for them to convert, but we are also using social proof. And as you can see here, we are using yet again another static ad with a social proof, essentially talking in terms of the mass desire that I know our target audience has, and essentially just from a review confirms that our target audience can achieve that transformation, can achieve that desire that they essentially want from our product. And that again has worked really, really well in this case. Lastly, we have solution aware and problem aware, and normally these two types of awareness levels don't go hand in hand, but in this case it have worked extremely well for us. And the reason why is because obviously we are dealing with an offer that doesn't really have any competitors, so we are really shaping the market here. So in this case, I have just essentially used solution aware and problem aware and inserted them into one category. And obviously the videos are in Danish, so I don't want to play them because you probably won't understand them. But to essentially give you a brief overview of what we are doing here, in the first video we are appealing to a solution aware audience, and the main purpose of our creative in a solution aware audience is pretty much to bash other solutions that our target audience have had previously. So here we are essentially talking about this book that will be a perfect gift for a man who loves cars. So we are essentially also bashing every other solution that you as our target audience may have had previously, buying gift to your man who loves cars. That could be literally everything. Obviously, I found a few key elements here that I essentially inserted in the script, which just made sure that our audience resonated with the script and with the messaging a lot more. So key element is that you essentially have to understand failed solutions that your target audience previously have tried but didn't work, so you can bash them in a solution aware audience. And lastly, we have a problem aware audience, and that essentially just goes to show that you have to essentially twist the main problems that your target audience have, and that's exactly what we have been doing in this case of mine. We are essentially talking about the pain points that our target audience has, and mainly the main pain points that I know our target audience has is that it's extremely hard and difficult to find a gift for a man who is over 30 years old, because in that stage of life you pretty much have everything that he wants, and if there is something that he doesn't have but which he desires, he will essentially just go get him himself. So we are talking in terms of that specific pain point and that specific angle, and that have worked wonders for us. Now I also wanted to say that when you are crafting ads for solution slash problem aware audiences, that's also where you will see that your ads scale the most. To give you insights, in our ad account currently as I'm speaking, the creative to our left is quite literally taking every single dime of our spend. This creative to our left is spending 95% of our total advertising spent every single day. And obviously the reason why is because our messaging is essentially hit right on the nail compared to what our target audience have experienced before with other solutions and the current pain points, but also because you have the most amount of people in these market segments who you can get to convert. Obviously, unaware is a larger market segment, but it often takes a lot more time for these customers to convert because they are completely unaware, as it says. Now, in this case of mine, we actually don't have any ads for unaware people because we are essentially reaping the rewards from being first to market and having a funnel that essentially only speaks to these four levels of awareness. So that's what we are currently increasing spend on. Now, as we scale, I know as an advertiser, and I am also cognitive about, we essentially have to increase our market and our advertising for our market awareness to also resonate with our unaware people. So we have a entire funnel from A to Z. But as I'm speaking and as I'm filming this video, we actually don't have any creatives for an unaware audience. Now, lastly, and something that I wanted to talk about is how we have used motivation to how we have used our pain point to motivate our target audience in order to drive action and purchase our product. Now, just to give you a little bit of background story, this book, this offer that we are dealing with here is mainly an offer that you buy as a man, because obviously the founder is a man in his personal brand. He is appealing directly to men. But what I decided to do was to essentially align our advertising efforts to women and use their pain points of not having the essentially not having the what's it called, not having the inspiration, not having the right guidance to purchase a gift for their man during the holiday season. And that is essentially what we have done here, and it have worked wonders for us. I have taken a screenshot here from our Shopify analytics, and obviously this is in Danish, so you probably don't, you can't probably fathom the names here, but 99% of the customers that we have had during the last 2 months have all been women, because obviously our advertising is appealing to women, and we are using their mass desire of wanting to buy a gift, and secondly, essentially also using their pain point. And the core thesis that I wanted to talk about is that you as an advertiser have to essentially make sure that your audience reaches the emotional level of threshold, because if they don't reach that, they are not going to take action. So you have to make sure that your creatives is dialed in terms of the pain points that your target audience has, because if you can really hit the pain points on the nail, you will see that your target audience have the motivation to act. And in this case, we have used the pain point of our primary target audience, women, to essentially drive action and purchase our product. Now those are the reasons why we were able to significantly boost performance and increase budget at the same time. In fact, we have actually increased spend 500% within a few weeks, and are currently, as I'm speaking right now, scaling on a almost 8x ROAS with first order profitability. We essentially went from not having a tight creative funnel to having ads that supported the entire customer journey from A to Z. We also went from having an inefficient system for testing concepts and creatives at every step of the funnel to having a efficient way of pumping out new concept every single week or bi-weekly. So if you feel like your advertising efforts have stagnated, I highly recommend that you review your entire advertising setup and actually examine how your ad spend is being distributed across your entire advertising funnel. Now, at the very least, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you got some golden nuggets that you can use yourself to scale your own e-commerce store. That's it. Take care.